Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be swapping out the intercooler hoses on the Pajero. Now you may have known that the Pajero's been off the road for a few months, probably around about 3. And the reason that is my top intercooler hose, or the one on the manifold side, got a big split in it. So I didn't want to run this around like that. So I basically gave Mitsubishi a call and said, look Mitsubishi, I need one of these. How much? I had heard 450. Mitsubishi wanted 571 for that. I reached out, made a few phone calls, scoured the website, couldn't find anybody doing some aftermarket or just OEM replacement intercooler hoses for the Pajero. Somebody sent me a link and said, look, go and check out Forefront Industries. They do some aftermarket hoses. Typical for us Mitsubishi Pajero guys. I had a look at the website. They had Tritons, I think they had Lancers, they had a whole bunch of other brand vehicles, you know, more than you could poke a stick at for Toyotas, as is the case typically. So I sent them an email and said, hey look, you know, I'm chasing these, I know you don't have them on the website, what's the chances? They got back to me, I think it was same day, and said, look, we don't have any, but we are in the process of getting some made. This is what's going on. Mitsubishi wants to bend me over and give me a proper one. Can you tell me how long they're going to take? Now, there was discussions about how long it was going to take, and they were going to have to get them made, being that this was going to be the first set they had. I explained, I said, look, you really saved my backside. I don't want to give Mitsubishi 571 bucks. If you can get me a set, I'll do a review video of the install, etc., and try and promote you, because I can't find these anywhere else, and you really saved my ass. So with that understanding, they said, great, yep, we'll get you out a set of the prototypes, with the understanding that they may not be exact fit when you get them. If need be, we'll need to get them back, rejig them, have them made up to fit. So keep that in mind while you watch this video. At this stage they look pretty close. There might be some length issues, but we won't know until we actually get them fitted. Just to remind you, for this video, $571, one hose, Mitsubishi, full set, that's 3. Including new clamps from Forefront Industries, 350 bucks. Now with that in mind, because these did take a little while to come through, nothing against Forefront, it's just the process with COVID at the moment, I've got in touch with the local guy who does hard pipes, and I'm going to get him to do me a set, but I can't get to him until COVID's over. Now he's a local fab guy, so he's not going to be in your area. He may be looking at doing kits, so you know, if you're interested in getting some hard pipes, or you're interested to see how these fit, you know, chuck us a subscription or, you know, whatever. We'll probably even do a comparison if I notice any performance difference between the normal pipes and the hard pipes once we get those done, and we'll talk about costs and stuff later on. We might also be getting him to do a custom snorkel for us as well. He does this custom twin snorkel thing that looks awesome, but I don't know if we can do it with the Pajero. Anyway, get to the point. Forefront Industries, down there in Victoria, Aussie guys, thanks very much for saving my backside. I really want to say thanks to Jamie, who's been getting backwards and forwards to me with emails. I really have been pestering him a little bit, so thank you Jamie, much appreciated mate. And just thanks for doing something for the Pajero. Like, we're always chasing stuff us guys, and it just really happy. So thanks, let's get into it. Forefront Industries, these are a silicone. You can see how thick they are, or compared to these to the originals when we pull those out. Unfortunately, I've got to go back to work tomorrow. These have just turned up today. So what we're going to do, we're going to try and fit as much as we can. I'm not going to be able to get the main one done because I've got to take off bash plates. Whilst I purchased them, this is under the proviso that these are the prototype ones. This video is also going to be checking fitment for Jamie, for Forefront, and testing those out. Now, it does come with all the hardware as well. So effectively, these are just going to be direct replacements for the OEM pipes. We're going to drop those out, and hopefully these will just bolt straight up and we'll be good to go. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, this is the pipe here that's split. This is the one going up to the manifold. You can see there's oil spray coming out of that, so you can see a mark there. There's obviously a bit of a mark on the hood lining. You will hear it when it's running. I don't feel like I've lost a heap of power, to be honest. I definitely have noticed that the fuel economy has gone up. I think it's probably gone up about 1 to 2 litres per 100. And you can see that's a nice big split right there. I can almost get my finger into that, so that's where our split is. So if you're having some issues, you're hearing some noises coming out, it's a bit of a whistling or something like that that doesn't sound right, you can come out and check your hoses. And this area in particular, I've seen a number of hoses that have gone exactly there. So at the very least, I just want to get at least one of these done, just to check for fitment. Again, because that we have the understanding that these are prototypes, I'm just really keen to at least get one fitted and just see how it goes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to disconnect our air box. One hose clamp up here. Flathead screwdriver just to undo these clips here. So just push in, lever them out. Now this is basically our EGR cut device that we've got, electronic device. I can't even remember the brand on that. If I get it, I'll put it up on the screen. It's probably on there somewhere. As far as this goes, undo your clips. Undo your wire that goes here. Take that out. Hang it out of the way. Lever it up and then pull it this way. So you'll see it's got these two little hooks that sort of go in and then drops down. So just lift it up, pull it away this way. Get your air filter. Alright, so that definitely needs a bit of a clean out, so we might do that at some point. At the bottom of the air box we've got 3 bolts, so we need to remove those. Okay, so just get your ratchet, get yourself an extension, just makes it easier to work in there. They are in some rubber grommets, so when you're putting these back in, you don't have to crank down on these. 3 bolts, don't lose your washers. There's a little hose that's coming across the back. I'll show it to you in a sec. That's just going to unclip, pull it out and away. So that little hose is just hooked in to this little clip here. So just undo that. I'm going to give that a bit of a clean up, bit of a hose out. You can see the amount of shit that's in that. That's the little hose that's run across from over that side. I think that's part of your vacuum hose setup, so obviously you don't want to bugger that. Here's our first hose that we want to take off. It should be fairly easy to get to. This is going to be the replacement just here. Now if you want to change your suspension on your Pajero, you need to take that air box out. So you'd remove your air box, you do everything we've done up to this stage, and then you take out these bolts, and then you can reach the bolts for the top of your struts here to remove those. And for the other one, for the other side, you need to remove your battery over there. So this is the hose we're going to replace. Certainly looks quite a bit thicker than the OEM one. We're just going to take this one off. A couple of hose clamps. Now I'm assuming at this stage that these are OEM, so the original fitment. I've got no reason to think otherwise. We'll be keeping these just in case, doesn't hurt to have some spares. Okay. First side come off easy, but this side's proven to be a bit of a bitch. So it's interesting, I wasn't quite sure when they said 3 hoses, why there were 3 hoses. I thought it'd just be the 2. As you can see here, if we get you in for a closer look, you can see that this side is actually 2 hoses with a joiner in the middle. So why they didn't just make that 1 hose, I don't know. But you'll see here, there is a mount, and this has obviously got rubber grommets under those bolts. And that moves quite a bit, so that allows obviously that to move, because you know obviously the engine has its own movement, the intercooler and the chassis has its own movement, and they need to have some flexibility in between those 2 things. I'm just grabbing the flathead screwdriver and sticking it up there to try and break the seal, and here we go. It's really stuck on there. So that's our original hose. The top section, you can see there. And luckily they seem to be pretty close. These are a little bit thicker. The forefront ones are a little bit thicker than the original. It certainly looks nicer. I was hoping for the blue. I thought I was getting the blue silicone ones, but it's neither here or there. You can see the wall thickness. This is the original on this side. This is the aftermarket one on this side. You can see it's quite a bit thicker. And you can see there is something in the silicone to reinforce it. I don't know what that is. These are interesting because they've got the heat protection on the outside, so I'm obviously hoping the silicone ones are going to be up to the challenge. But I just want to give you a quick look as well why it's worth chucking on a catch can, which I haven't done yet because I want to get the intercooler. I want to do an intake clean before I do this, but this is just the outside of the intercooler. So that's just the outside of those. You can see the amount of oil and stuff that's sitting on there. So that's going to be all inside of that. It's going to be all inside our intake. If you're in the Newcastle / Hunter Valley area, or even as far as down Sydney, for going the whole COVID thing and everything like that, and you know somebody that does a good manifold clean off car, I don't want one of those on car ones, I'm contemplating doing it myself. Never having done that, I was going to have a crack and watch Mr. Pajero's instructional, which I believe is pretty good by all reports. So I was going to follow his video and just do it myself, but I'm thinking if I can take it to somewhere, get them to do a proper job for me, take it off, and obviously it saves me time and stuff having to do that, and I can do a video on that, maybe get them to let me film some part of the process, get them to take pictures and stuff like that. Anyway, if you know somebody in the Newcastle / Hunter region, maybe as far as down to Sydney, that does a good job, that you're happy with and you're happy to recommend, stick a note down in the comments and let me know, and I'll get in touch with them and we'll see about getting that done. So when you're putting these on, just pay attention to where you want the screw head to be, or the bolt head, so you can get to them. So for me, I'm going to want that sort of facing that way. We're going to have that one on that way so I can reach it from the front. I'm just going to drop her on. So just for the forefront, boys, your logo's on the wrong side, so you can't see it. You probably need it on the top on this one. I think the radius here is probably a little bit tight. It has slid on both sides, but you can see this is angled in a little bit, which is not putting that connection at 90, so it's not flush, and it feels like it, or it looks like it's sitting a little bit proud this side, but obviously once we put the clamp on, I think that'll be fine. So pretty close. Just open that radius up there just a little bit. I don't know about any degrees or whatever, but yeah, that seems to be close enough for a fitment. If you have a look at your original hoses, you're going to see how much room there is from the bottom of the hose to where they've actually put the hose clamp. So you've got to leave, I don't know, what's that, ½ an inch or something thereabouts on the bottom of each, because the actual pipes that come out do have a flange, and you can see probably on this one, that flange is probably about almost an inch depth inside the hose once it's seated. You definitely need to make sure that you've got your hose clamp below where that sort of flanges out and opens up the flare, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so it's day 2 and we need to get to this the hose on this side over near the battery. Now we're going to need to take the engine cover off here, because you can see just in here that's where our hose clamp is, so we need to get to that, and then we're going to need to get down the bottom and see what's required to get to the bottom of this one, which is going to be the output of the intercooler, and then we also need to be able to get to the bottom section of the intake over there as well. So I think these are only 10 mils, I can't see from here, but I think these are 10 mils up here, so we'll grab a 10 mil socket. So as you can see, she's not the prettiest engine with the engine cover off, but it is what it is. Now we can get to the top of this hose here, and you can see that split. You can see how big that is. So this is the hose that's at issue, and this is the hose that Mitsubishi wanted $571 for. Okay, so now that I've loosened everything that I can get to at the top, basically it's time to get down underneath and have a look, which for me unfortunately is going to mean pulling off some bash plates. That we've got the top sections loosened and undone with everything we need to do up top. Top is the easy section, the bottom is going to be the hardest section, getting up to the intercooler. So I'm going to jump down and we need to take off the bash plate, at the very least the front one, maybe the front two, depending. So anyway, let's go down and have a look and see what we've got to do. Of course, we've always got a little help. Can't get down on the ground without him. Oh boy. Yeah. And if you've if you've all got dogs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just got to be there with you. Sometimes I swear he only loves me for my food. Now I don't quite remember how I got those bolts off in the end for that fan. I know they gave me a hard time and I had to get a big breaker bar and to crack them. They shouldn't be that hard this time. So, and now I know I could go back and watch my own video of getting that fan out, but I reckon we can figure it out again. that's our fan out. Again, as per usual, you know, once you're pulling these things out, it's worth just throwing an eye over them, just having a quick look. And so that's our fan. All the blades seem to be in pretty good condition. Just made a bit of a contact on the corner here with something, but no issues there. There's the back of it. And there's just the 4 bolts that we need to put out again. If you want to see how to take this out, there's a video up there that you can have a look at for when I did the fan belts. And that'll give you a more detailed understanding of how to get that bloody fan out. Especially if you've got really hard bolts. That one came out pretty easy because I've had it not that long ago because I did the fan belts. Turns out you could probably get away with doing the fan belts without pulling the fan, but just makes the job that bit easier. Just makes the job that bit easier and gives you a bit more room. And again, with this intercooler, I don't know, because I haven't done it yet. This is the first time I've tried to crack into the intercooler. There may be an easier way to this. You may be able to get to this without taking the fan and the fan shroud out to get to those things. I can't see it from the underneath. Not sure if there's a way to do that. Somebody else might be able to post up and say, hey, dickhead, do it this way, and it'll take you 5 minutes. At this stage, I think coming from the top is the best option. Removing that fan and then trying to pop off this fan shroud from around the radiator should just give us a little bit of room we need. So you can see in here now, this is the fan shroud, this whole section here that we want to remove, and that should give us access to the top of that intercooler hose there. Now I haven't taken this out holus bolus before, but there are a couple of bolts here on top, and I'm assuming there is going to be something down the bottom that we need to get to as well. This looks like the fan shroud here, so it just looks like there's going to be some locator pins. So I think if we just undo those bolts at the top, that whole thing might just lift out. So that's the bottom of the radiator. I think you can see this pin sitting in here. There is a similar one up and through here. So I think once we lift this out, so I think if we undo those bolts at the top and lift up, she should just come out. Undone the 2 10mm bolts that hold on to the top of the radiator shroud, and then underneath there's just a couple of little locator pins. We should just be able to lift this up and she should come out, I believe. Now there is the overflow hose that runs from here, so I've disconnected that. I've just unplugged that off near the cap there, because it does clip into the shroud. This top radiator hose is stopping the shroud from coming out. So we're going to need to undo that to lift this out. I think you can see the shroud coming here, and it sticks out about this far on this side of this hose. So there's no real way of manipulating that upwards to get that out. Unfortunately, sometimes you've got to work backwards. You go, right, well, I need to get to this, so to need that I need to remove A. But to get A out I need to get B out, and to get B out I need to get C out, and to get C out I need to get D out. So ultimately you need to know where you need to start, so you can start at D, work your way back through C, B and A. This is going to be easy enough, but now that means we're going to have radiator fluid going everywhere. So I think the secret quite often here is take your time and just look. If I can give you one piece of advice when DIYing and having to go yourself, that I've learned over a number of years and over a number of frustrations and a number of mistakes, if something's not coming out, stop, don't just yank on it, don't just apply more force. Sometimes it requires more force, but don't just yank and start pulling on it and whatever, because chances are you've missed a screw, you've missed a bolt, it's attached to something else, and when you yank on it, so take your time, just relax. You don't need to get it done straight away in the next 5 minutes. Take your time, have a look at it, and just learn in the process. Just undo your clamp and just wiggle her off. So with that fan shroud out, there's our intercooler hose, so we can easily get to that, and that one over there as well. So piece of cake. Alright, so we can get to all of these and make it all happen. Simplify things, what I'm going to do, this is the intercooler, I guess, joiner. There's our bottom hose here that runs down the intercooler. So I'm just going to take these 2 bolts off and see if I can actually remove this from the hose rather than the hose from this, if that makes some sort of sense, and that just might make things a little bit easier. You beauty. Not sure if you can see, but the forefront one there looks quite a bit longer. You can see that they are thicker as well. The wall thickness is a little bit thicker, probably half again. So that's our lower there. So forefront, this is for you. So that's our lower. So if we put it that way, actually if we try and follow the profile, it actually makes it look shorter than that one. So I have to see how we go there. Right, so intermission, so we've just ducked back inside, put on a pair of shorts because it's getting hot out here, feels like it's probably mid-20s or something. But the delivery guy turned up, so let's come with me and let's just go around the back of the Pajero. I'm going to give you a look at something. You may or may not know, we've obviously fitted the car on rack a few videos back, and I've started fitting the aux beam switch panel to this. Now aux beam's actually been on to me saying, hey, we're sorting out that switch panel, we haven't seen a review yet. I did say, look, I did touch on it a few videos ago, here, have a look at this, but they've asked me to make sure I get the video done in September. So with that in mind, I've been waiting on some items to turn up so we can do that video. With some external lights, I want to use this switch panel to switch some external lights. One of the ones you'll see, and I'll put links down in the description, and we'll do individual reviews of these, and I'll show you the fitment when they get around. I just want to give you a bit of a quick look at them until we go back around the front and finish off that job on the intercooler hoses. So these are just a little 10-watt cube. So these things are, I've never seen these, I've looked at them all the time, and these things are solid as, they're a solid little piece of, I'm guessing, it's not aluminium, I don't know what it is, but these are solid as. Some issues there, but we'll have a look at those. Those are probably going to go on one side of the Pajero. You know that I'm inclined to buy sort of the cheaper LED type stuff. I'm only running eBay lights on the front of the car. I'm inclined to buy this sort of thing when I'm doing lights on the car. But for the purpose of the channel, and again, my own curiosity, I wanted to, I guess, throw a few extra bucks at it and go with something that was named brand. So you'll see here, these are the STEDI 10-watt mini LED work lights. So these things look pretty good. Straight away I can tell you, compared to just the plain cardboard box that this one comes in, STEDI's had the little slip, some packaging, all their other stuff, some foam. Oh, these are nice. Yeah, okay. I did see these, I thought these look alright, but I did look for some videos on these, but couldn't see them. Wow, yeah. Those are really, really nice. Now I think these are about $35 odd each. I think they were about 70 bucks for the pair. They've got a Deutsch plug on it. They're really nice. Those are nice. These you could throw at a robber, but I can already tell that that face isn't screwed on tightly and stuff. But these are nice. These are pretty. These are really pretty. Yeah, I like those. Anyway, never had any STEDI stuff, so that'll be my first. We've got two of those we're going to fit. These are all going to go on the outside of the car. These ones I'm equally excited about. These ones are a bit of fun. Some people are either going to love these or they're going to hate these. I'm somewhere in the I'm probably going to love it type option, I think, I hope. Okay, so a good start is we've got two boxes. I think the brand was Nakoko. Now if you know that brand, you probably know what this is. I think they might do some rock lights and stuff like that, I'm not sure, or underbody lights. These are just their pod lights or their cube lights, if you will. And what makes these unique is, in addition to doing just your standard white lights, I'm pretty happy with these so far because they seem to be a little bit more solid than the generic stuff. These cost me 120 bucks for the two. I did look at the four, so I could do all corners, but I figured I'd mix it up, do some STEDI stuff. I'll do these little 10 watters that I've been looking at for ages, and we'll put them all around and we'll just see how they all play out. So what you'll see in there is we've actually got 6 LEDs for the main beams, and then around the outside you've got some RGB lighting as well that goes right around the outside. This seems to be pretty good. They seem to be probably middle of the ground, which probably justifies that $120 odd I paid for the pair. I'm not real sure about that seal there on the rear. There is no breather hole on them. Come with a little control box, which is going to be in the bottom there somewhere, that they need to run that wire to. You've got a little remote control, so you can change the colours, they flash, they do all sorts of wonderful things. Right, so intermission over. Oh, pack this up and we'll get back. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just take this section, this joint, and we'll fit our pipes to this initially. Just get them fitted in. There we go. Good. Still going to give us room to work with that bracket there. With your forefront stuff, some of your hoses are just, some of your clamps are a little bit bigger. So this is the one that's going to the manifold, so you'll see you've got a nice big clamp there as well. Clamps are slightly different sizes. Mind you, all adjustable, so you could probably do whatever with all of them. But I'm just going to throw that bigger one on there. So you can see there's the outlet, so that goes up to the manifold there, over there. And then this is the, I guess, the inlet side over here. And there's not much to it, but you can see on each of those ends there as well that they are flanged. So when you're fitting your hose clamp, you need to make sure you go that sort of 1/2 inch at least, so that clamp is sitting on the inside of that flange and it's going to hold that hose on properly. And this side is exactly the same. So that's roughly what we're looking at. So that bottom one fits on real easy. So from a fitment perspective, that looks pretty good. We're on there, we're on here. That mounting plate seems to line up. We haven't done anything up yet. We've got a little bit of wiggle room here, so we could probably push that on a little bit. Now the fitment on this end is a little bit looser than I would probably like. It's not as tight as some of the others, but still it's on there. It looks good. Not quite as square as I think it could be. I think this radius is a little bit tight, so I think if that was opened up a little bit, that would bring that down square, but we haven't tightened this up, so that might move that back a little bit. Just need to be a little bit wary of this hose clamp here, so I'll have to move that around here because we don't want that rubbing on one of our radiator hoses. But the fitment down the bottom looks good. That looks real good actually. And there's that junction that you can see just here, and fitment on both of those looks good as well. So that looks like a good fit for this side. So there's our helper down there. He's given up. One that goes up to the intake. So you can see that there. That comes up to the manifolds. That's a nice good fit. You can see that one down the bottom as well. So I've just chucked that extra sleeve on, so it doesn't really need to be there. Probably should have been up this end anyway, doesn't matter. But that's the other end there. And that's the other side. So happy days, we are fitted. All I need to do now is go back and put everything else back together, and then we can start her up and see how she goes. I'm keen to take her for a drive. Now, expectations. I think this has been going for quite a while, so I'm kind of hoping that I jump back in, I'll take it for a drive and go, oh, feels like it's got more power. In theory I should have more boost because I think I would have been wasting a lot through that crack. The other thing, I was noticing the fuel economy had gone up, so I was losing about 1 to 2 litres per 100 I think. So I think my fuel economy is going to improve there. But I'm going to need to take it for a decent drive it back and forwards to work for a week or two and just see what happens there. You'll have to wait here, and I'm going to load up the important stuff. And we're going to take it for a drive, and we'll talk to you when we come back in a minute. Okay, so we're just back from the drive. Final words. Look, it feels like it's coming on boost quicker, which probably makes sense. I can certainly hear the turbo spooling up more than I could recently. Mind you, it's been a few months, nearly 3 months since I've driven this. And I've been driving the Commodore, which is the 3.8 V6. And I've never really driven this really hard anyway, to be honest. Like as far as, you know, I give it a bit of stick off-road, but as far as on-road, you know, it's not a speed demon, so I've never really put my foot too hard into this. At this stage, I'm going to say that there's definitely an improvement. So keep in mind that I've got the iDrive in there and the M&M 4mm torque lockup kit in there as well. Now there's an upgrade that I've got to send that away for. He reached out to me, Marshall reached out to me and said, look, you know, we've got an upgrade, you want to send it back in and we'll get that updated for you, so I'll do that. I'll just obviously keep an eye on that just to make sure everything's buttoned up right, and I haven't put the engine cover back on yet, as good as that looks. I wouldn't mind giving the engine a little bit of a detail and a bit of a spray, degrease, all that sort of stuff before I put all that back on. Yeah, but at this stage I'm really happy with everything. It's a little bit more of a challenge than I expected from the get-go, but again, realistically, as long as you take your time, the hardest thing is probably going to be getting that fan out if you haven't done that before, based on how tight those bolts may be. And then just being a little bit of a contortionist to get down there. If you're an older person, something like that, you're not real flexible, maybe you're a bigger guy, it might be a bit of a challenge for you. But if you can get yourself into those positions, you know, and you're happy to reach down there and do what it takes to get to the parts, I don't think you'll have any issues with this at all. Again, if somebody's out there that's done this and has come at this from the bottom and they've got some ideas on how to get to that without having to pull the fan and the shroud, let us know down in the comments. So if you're going to do this, have a read of the comments, because there might be a better way to do this than the way I've approached it. So I've got to tell you, I did have a look at a number of different places before somebody recommended Forefront to me, and I was unable to find any aftermarket Pajero intercooler hoses. I could certainly find them a little bit cheaper than what Mitsubishi offered to me if I wanted to import them direct from Japan and a few different places. You know, I think sort of 400, 450, that sort of price. Certainly cheaper than what Mitsubishi was offering, but we're going to have to order them, and then with COVID we'd have to wait anyway. For your 349 bucks for your full set, I don't think you can go past these guys, seriously. So Forefront Industries and Jamie, thanks mate, appreciate it. There you go guys, just wanted to share that with you as far as the intercooler hoses go, and just give you a different option than having to go with Mitsubishi and bend over and take it in the rear, like they like to do to you sometimes. So with all that wrapped up, I just wanted to give you some alternatives to having to get bent over and from Mitsubishi. I said no affiliation with Forefront Industries. I just reached out at the right time and they happened to be getting these done, and on the understanding that I would do a video for them, they were happy to get the prototypes out for me rather than me have to wait until they had all that process sorted out and then we'd order them through the normal process. Now I have asked Jamie a couple of questions which I'll put the answers to down in the description. So $349 for the full set. I'm not sure whether there's going to be postage on top of that, you have to look at the website. I'm not sure whether they're going to come in blue at a later date, I have asked that. You'll put that down below. And I'm not sure when these are going to be on the shelf and ready. I suppose it's going to depend on this video and the results of my fitment. So I've let him know that it's a thumbs up all around. So hopefully these will be ready soon. Cheers guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll catch you on the next one.